good, chat? Welcome back to another video. Today we've got a very interesting reaction. We're going to be reacting to a video called 21 Savage's Flop is Embarrassing. Now, recently we reacted to his new album called What Happened to the Streets, and then since then there's been a lot of like tweeting and whatever else happening online, and I don't even want to go and give too much of a recap. I feel like he's going to be explaining it in the video, but I ain't gonna lie, Atlanta is in a frenzy right now, bro. I don't know if this is their attempt to stay relevant or what the hell is going on, but Atlanta needs help, bro.
Oh! What's poppin', y'all? 21 Savage's team they've been trying to run something crazy, because while he's been trying to run front-end PR, trying to revive Young Thug's perception with this whole F the streets thing, they've been trying to run up the numbers. And
can you imagine like 21 Savage is doing all this just to help save Young Thug's reputation? Like, it's crazy. The whole Atlanta scene is backing Thug on some bullshit, bro. Like,
oh!
I don't know, bro.
For some reason there's been high expectations of 21 Savage's album numbers. Like, some people were saying, yo, if this does under 100K, we know like street rap is dead or something like that. And I think a lot of people just need to chill and kind of forget about like the pressure that there is to sell a certain amount is what's causing or incentivizing a lot of people to jack up the numbers. That is completely like out of this world in comparison to the actual consumption of said album. Like, for instance, Young Thug's project, it sold like what, 40 something K or something like that, or I don't even know how much it sold. It was more than that, but it was adequate. Yet when you look at 2, 3, 4 weeks later, or
celebrate the holiday season with our new winter
they're about to mention the deluxe. He probably noticed that he fucked up on the original and then he just juiced up the deluxe or some shit. Which, if the numbers are that different, then GG's, bro.
God forbid you look now, where is that album? Nobody's streaming it. So its first week didn't really matter, considering that the project had no staying power and people didn't care about it. However, 21 Savage has historically sold well, so I do understand where that expectation comes from, but times have changed. It's hard.
Like, has Young Thug not historically? I mean, Young Thug's been dropping a lot longer, so he's definitely had some, I don't want to say flops, but some lower performing projects. So
harder to sell with the majority of people on streaming unless you try to fudge some things up. So, and also keep in mind that this album ended up being dropped as just not a random drop, but it ended up being one of those surprise drops where it's like, hey, my album just dropped tonight, which I don't know why they opted to do that. That's something that we haven't really seen used as a strategy for what, like 2 years? I remember earlier in the 2020s, it's crazy we're saying that now, right? But hey, we are almost in 2026. I remember a little bit earlier, that used to be the meta for a little while, where it's like, yo, album dropping tonight. And then it used to be, of course, even before that, it was a long drawn out rollout where you got like a views for all the dogs, like projects like that was damn near rolled out for over 16 months at times.
Damn. So
here, the first reports were it selling around 53K, which that's what I would estimate. Like, if you just had to, and yeah, you know, hindsight 2020, but realistically, 53K seemed like a sound number. Like 100K is a gargantuan number that I don't think people really like, you know, have their head wrapped around how much that is. So I was like, 53K, that makes sense, right? These predictions are usually spot on, bang on. But oddly enough, in the middle of the week, something changed and we saw a jump. And it was 21 Savage's What Happened to the Streets saw an over 300% increase in daily US album units between Monday and Wednesday. And that was earlier in the past week. And that's odd. Now, you had some people with the nerve to say, oh, pure sales and digital editions didn't get tracked until midweek. They had pre-orders for the album on DSPs and iTunes. You can't pre-order an album on DSP. You could pre-save an album. That doesn't count as a sale, though. On iTunes is different, but dog, you know how if I told you, yo, buy this album on iTunes and I'll give you $20 right now, but you've got to do it within 5 minutes. A person wouldn't even be able to do it. That's how hard it is to navigate iTunes, to even even get into the iTunes application. So that's all the way out the window. And keep in mind, people saw this as 300% streams. That's what they interpreted it as, but that was not the case. The streams did increase a little bit, but that's partially because of the song that was getting worked. The record that was getting worked was the one with Drake, of course. And with this jump, that would bring it from 53K to like 90K. That became the new projection. And I'm going to play you guys a clip right now of Academics reacting to this, who has, this was an interesting position he was put in because 21 Savage is his mans, and he's also constantly calling people out where it's like, yo, this is frauded. So I'm going to play you guys that clip right now.
Went from being projected to sell 53K, and all of a sudden, it was then reported that the album is more likely going to be selling 90K. And a lot of people are saying bots. Now, again, I know Savage is my friend. I'm not here to defend him. And I'm a numbers guy, so I like to call a spade a spade. This is what I do know. There's a couple of things that's just facts. Number one, there was increased activity because I seen the charts just like anybody who actually monitors the API of, whether it's Spotify, whatever. The song with Drake started doing better. And I'm not going to say it's bots because I think people were starting to play it a little bit more. It's the song that's sticking out from the album. Also, it's Drake. I get it. That's not why it jumped to 53K, though. Oh, no, 90K, though. It jumped to 90K because of actual sales. Now, I'm not here also to say, no, all these are legit. I don't know, right? Like, again, I'm the person who says the labels bought everything, right? The Kendrick fans are like, no, Kendrick doesn't buy bots, right? Not him himself, but there's bots included. And if you told me that there was some of Drake's stuff that ever got botted, I'd be like, yeah, is there a label working it? Maybe, motherfucker, what the like, I'm not defending these people like there's purists. No, I'm just saying things happen. So with situations like that, with this, I use one test. Does it make sense to me in how I normally see trends? Like, if you're seeing a trend go like this, that's an increase, right? But imagine if it's going like this and it goes like, boop, boop. That's a bot. That's how I look at things. So for me, streaming activity on the album, even though it was supposed to tail off, it actually started to stabilize. And it starts to stabilize because the Drake song picked up. So that's not, to me, odd. I don't think that's bots. The 53 to 90K, though, looks like it came about because of sales. And there's some supposed, like, maybe there was some self-reported sales, which could be from a website. And, artists are allowed to have their own websites or, like, whatever, their own digital stores. Could that be manipulated? That's usually where it's manipulated. I'm not going to lie. Shout out to Travis Scott and everybody like that. You know what I mean? But that's where that's kind of coming from. Like, the increase in sales seems to be from raw sales. And we'll see tomorrow if they get certified.
So here, he was a little bit chill on it. If this was Travis Scott, man, he would have been all up on him. But I will be fair and say that, yeah, the streaming didn't jump up that high. And for you, the reason why is that to bot streams up to 300% sales, like for a project to end up selling 90K based on streams, you've got to be botting tens of millions of streams. It's a lot of streams. However, if you're quote unquote buying it, that's a different story. And we got the report because it was battling against both The Life of a Showgirl, which is Taylor Swift, and Morgan Wallen, two of the biggest artists in America. One of them is one of the biggest artists in the world. Morgan Wallen is not really popping not popping at all outside of America. That's where his fan base is. I mean, but it's country music. That's what it is. And on Talk of the Charts, they reported a delay on this week's Billboard 200 chart could be imminent, as 21 Savage's What Happened to the Streets currently leads Taylor Swift's The Life of a Showgirl for the #1 spot. So initially, he was supposed to be like number 5 or even further behind. He was supposed to be like number 6 or 7 because you had K-pop Demon Hunters Hunters that was crushing it, that did like 70K. You had, and K-pop Demon Hunters, you guys are hearing that everywhere, or you probably should be hearing it everywhere. Like, they've got multiple songs, damn near, I think, like in the top 15. Morgan Wallen, of course, and then there's like 2 different Christmas albums, which makes sense as well. So for it to jump up to where it's competing with Taylor Swift for number 1, that would mean it would have to do over 100K. And then that's where it's like, so potentially even 110K. And then it says Showgirl had a lead of more than 12,000 units in the final projections. And then what ended up happening? Well, when we got the final sales, it came out that he would end up going number 3 behind Morgan Wallen and Taylor Swift with 73,000. So a post by Kirko says 37K pure album sales from 21 Savage's What Happened to the Streets were filtered by Billboard. So some people are saying, oh no, this is like he got caught doing the bots. And I joked about it too. I was like, yo, Young Thug called. I wasn't being serious though when I said Young Thug called up the bot plug. But what probably happened here is they tried to self-report sales, like academics talked about earlier, on the site, because if you sell either digital or physical and ship them out the same week, then you can report them as sales. However, what I think happened is they saw the projections and they were going to try to ramp it up to get a number 1 album, and then they could promote the fact that he got a number 1 album beating Taylor Swift, which makes you think, yo, 21 Savage is really lit. Let me actually stream the album. He outstreamed both Taylor Swift. He beat Taylor Swift. That would have been great promo material. Unfortunately, that didn't happen. And what likely happened is they were like, yo, you guys are the ones that are trying to buy up your own copies, because 37,000 people buying a album from 21 Savage, it's not unbelievable if it was being promoted as a box set with some sort of exclusive thing for weeks at least weeks, if not a month beforehand, to accumulate those sales. But to say that that's going to happen in 5 days, yeah, sell that story to somebody else. And that's the thing, when you look at the consumption of this album, is it really getting streamed as much? Not streamed, consumption is streaming, but for it to go number 1, are you telling me that more people were listening to 21 Savage's album than Taylor Swift, and more than Morgan Wallen, and more than K-pop Demon Hunters? The fact that it's number 3, honestly, is quite a surprise. I genuinely believe the real album numbers for this was the 53K. Because if you look at the charts where it says he went number 2, or he ended up going number 3 actually, but the predicted final charts that they're referencing, you had Michael Bublé, the Christmas project, or mostly the song that's getting streamed everywhere. Should that be streaming more than 21 Savage's project? Yes, you hear that everywhere. Every single business establishment is playing tracks from that across America. And keep in mind, yeah, this is only America. Now, Mariah Carey, her song is going to come it's coming soon. So, and Demon Hunters, he should be below Demon Hunters. He ended up beating them out. But the charts should be a reflection of actual consumption and behavior by people, when it has not been that for a while, because people are able to game it at least the first week, maybe even the second week. And this is why I say, like, first week sales should be deprioritized in comparison to how quickly is the album falling off the charts, or like, yo, what is the album doing on the 3rd week? What is the album doing on the 4th week? Because this is not a single we're talking about here. This is an album, and an album should grow over time. Like, you look at projects like Post Malone's first album, his debut, like that album, initially it didn't sell that well first week, but it slowly sold more and more and more and more and more and more over time. Like, I think it ended up, there were weeks where it sold more than it sold the first week. Now, we're not saying that it should do that, but we are saying that if the album has staying power, that's what we should be looking at, as opposed to, oh no, what did he do the first week, and then we don't care what the hell happened after that. And I think this Drake track, they're going to try to work the track, but no matter how much money they put behind it, whether it sticks or not is up to the people, and we're going to have to see. Like, I think the track is supposed to debut at 51 on the charts, so for somebody that's like the best song, the highest song is charting at number 51 on your album is not being streamed that crazy. Because for other people where there's crazy demand, you see their songs occupying the top 40. At least like 8 songs of the album will occupy in the top 40 for an album that's getting heavily globally streamed. So that's not the case with 21 Savage's album. Currently, at least, that is. But let me know what y'all think in the comments. Like, subscribe, and hit the notification bell if you enjoyed.
Honestly, I'm actually quite surprised he didn't really talk about the tweeting, because I feel like that's one of the main things that kind of messed up his rollout and his... I mean, that's not his rollout because he was tweeting afterwards, but it's just like... Again, maybe that was some antics to like bring people more towards his album, or like, you know, just bring eyes to him and then promote his album after. But like, I don't know, I just felt like that whole tweeting shit was goofy. But in terms of like, you know, the sales and shit like that, like, I don't know, bro. Like, I don't focus too much on first week numbers and just numbers in general, so I can't really speak too much on that. But again, when you look at the numbers and you look at how things are laid out, it does look like it was juiced. But again, that has nothing to do with me. Like, what I care about is the music specifically, and I think the music was pretty weak, man, unfortunately. Now, I did react to this recently, and the video should be on my channel, but there was a couple songs that I took back. You know what I'm saying? There was a couple ads, but in general, it wasn't too strong of a project. You know what I'm saying? So yeah, unfortunately, that's kind of how I'm feeling about the 21 project. You feel me? Anyways, chat, let me know how y'all felt down in the comments below. Did you like the project? Did you hate it? What did you think? How did you think he was gonna perform? You feel me? Let me know down in the comments below, and I'll catch you guys in the next one. Peace out.
All right, yeah. I'm getting gritty on these niggas. I'm getting gritty on these bitches. Here we go, now they talking again. Yeah. I'm getting gritty on these niggas. I'm getting gritty on these bitches. Here we go, now they talking again. Yeah. I'm getting gritty on these niggas. I'm getting gritty on these bitches.